We're back with another pregnancy vlog. By we, I obviously mean me and the baby. This is going to be week 20 and week 20 and 21, because currently today I just turned 22 weeks. So I'm going to do a little recap. It's been a hectic 2 weeks. So I'm going to bundle them together and then you're all caught up, and then I'll pretty much be live on the channel. When I upload, it will basically be, the video will go up the week after I film it. So you pretty much be on real time then. I don't know why I look so ghostly today. I don't know what's going on. I think it's the lighting. I'm going to blame the lighting because I'm definitely, I don't feel like I look this pale in real life, but whatever. We're going to work with it, because if I don't film it now, I don't know when it's going to happen, because we're already overdue to film. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so it's been a hectic 2 weeks, hence why I haven't had the chance to film. And let's start with week 20. So week 20, we're going to talk about the 20-week scan. I'm really excited to hear what you think. Do you think girl? Do you think boy? I'm going to show you a picture in a minute, and then you guys can maybe comment below and let me know. Oh, my jacket potato should be done soon. Mum life. Okay, so the 20-week scan was actually done at a couple days before I turned 20 weeks. I mentioned it in my 19-week pregnancy vlog. Everything was normal, and it's so funny because in the lead up to the scan, I was really nervous. I feel like everything was okay with the baby, but I get a bit nervous if we're going to find out the gender, because loads of people say when they found out the gender, that it was so obvious. Like they were like, oh, absolutely, I already knew, I could see it on there. So, you know, I get a little bit nervous, like, oh my God, are we going to find out? Like, because we just are of the opinion we just don't need to know until baby's here, you know, it just doesn't make a difference to us. And I think it's an exciting surprise to look forward to. So, you know, I was a little bit nervous if we were going to see anything, but the baby didn't want to be scanned. The baby was hiding, and it's so funny because I think in a previous pregnancy vlog I've said I feel like the baby hides in like my nooks and crannies, and it was so funny because I always say when I sit in a certain position I feel like the baby's squashed into my hip. I never experienced that with Elvis, and it's super uncomfortable, and I'm just like, why are you there? Why are you there, hun? Like, what are you doing down there? And I've said it to Ken before, and he was like, how can the baby be all the way there? Because it's right on like my hip bone. And it's so funny because when they were scanning, you could see that the baby was like curled up, right? She was basically scanning my hip. It was hilarious. Like the baby did not want to show face, just was not playing ball. And it's a totally different experience to Elvis's scan. Elvis's scan, and for those of you that haven't been following my pregnancy journey, that's my 3-year-old. We literally went in. I remember I announced as soon as we walked in, I was like, we don't want to know the gender, because a lot of people, especially first-time parents, you just associate the 20-week scan with finding out the gender. Like a lot of people, especially if you're on the NHS, like, and you don't go for a private scan, that's the way you're going to find out the gender, right? But actually it's a lot more included in that. It's actually not about the gender at all. It's about the heart chambers, the growth of the baby. They measure everything. They need to, it's a really in-depth autonomy scan, I think it's called. So I remember when I went in with Elvis, I was like, we don't want to find out the gender. And then the sonographer was kind of like, yeah, that's not what this is for. It's a lot more in detail. Like, I think he was just a bit like, okay, calm down, love. And I remember there was a couple moments when we were scanning Elvis that he would like turn and they couldn't do a certain measurement. They would just move on to the next thing and come back to that measurement. But for the most part, he was a really good baby. I absolutely could not tell it was a boy. I had a feeling it was a boy because when I was looking at his face, it did remind me of Ken's face a lot. Like he had a slightly wider nose. I remember I could see his lips really clearly, and he had these really like big juicy lips, and he had like my Cupid's bow. And I was like, I don't know, I feel like the baby looks a bit more masculine. So we still went along with thinking maybe the baby was a boy, and he was. But it's so funny because this scan was completely different. I went in and it took ages. The baby wasn't playing ball. I had to like be up on the bed wiggling about, like basically doing a bridge or a crab. I don't know, I was scanning on this side, they scanned me on this side, they were scanning on my hip. They were like, the baby just, wherever we were scanning, the baby would just move and be like, not today, hun, I'm resting, like leave me be. The baby was moving so much. I barely saw the baby's face. I was like, if we wanted to know the gender, there's no way they would have been able to tell us because they were struggling to even get their measurements. So there was no way I knew what I was looking at. And I could barely see the face. I only got to see the baby's side profile. The baby was really moving. We have got this picture, so I'm going to put it here. So this is our 20-week scan. And I just think looking at this, from the side profile, as I said, when we were live in the room, I could barely tell anything, but she managed luckily to get this quick little snapshot before the baby moved again. And I like looking more and more at it, I'm just like, that side profile looks way more like me, because I felt like Elvis looked quite like his dad. I feel like it looks way more like delicate and feminine. I don't know if I'm like wanting to see something that's not there. And it'll be hilarious if the baby is a boy, because I'll be like, oh, it looks so delicate. And it's like, whatever, Sean. You can't even tell from the scan. I'm probably crazy. But I just think even the pose, everything, just looks way more. To me, looks like a girl. I don't know. So yeah, a completely different scan experience. And it's really interesting because before we went into the scan, I was like to Ken, you know, I just feel like this baby moves way more. I can feel so much more movement. This baby's like wild child in there, but I feel like the movements are way more petite and delicate, and I kept saying I feel like this baby is more delicate and more petite, because even though I can feel more movements, the movements feel a lot more delicate. That's the only way I could explain it. And it's really interesting because I said that, and again, that was another reason why I was thinking, oh, maybe it's a girl. But I have to laugh at myself, because when we went in for the scan, they were like, oh, you have anterior placenta, which means that your placenta is on the front, which is completely normal, by the way, because I was like, is that normal? But basically, you can have your placenta anywhere as long as it's not low-lying. If it's low-lying, then that's when they worry. But yeah, it's a high anterior placenta, but it just means my placenta's at the front. So I'm not sure what placenta I had with Elvis. I don't know if they told me. I can't find it on my old notes. I'm not entirely certain, but I don't remember them saying anterior placenta. And it's really funny because obviously, if you have an anterior placenta, like your placenta's at the front, the movements are going to feel slightly muted. They're going to feel slightly softer because the baby's kicking, punching, or whatever through a placenta cushion, essentially. Whereas if you have the placenta at the back, I can assume that you'd feel the movements a lot more, like it would feel like they're right next to the skin, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but for me, I'm like, that's so funny that I was trying to pin that as like, oh, it's a girl. And then I found out I have an anterior placenta. So I'll try and find out from my midwife if they know what I had last time. I don't know if they'll have that in my notes, but I'm really intrigued to know whether I didn't with Elvis, because that's just interesting. Or maybe I'm someone that always has an anterior placenta. I don't know. So it's very interesting. But yes, when they finally got all the measurements, they were like, everything's normal as far as they can see. So that's really reassuring. And we came out of that scan just feeling really like elated and happy and good, and just how you want to be feeling really after a scan, because it's a big scan. Okay, so week 21 was intense. I had my mum's 60th party. So 60th the week before on week 20, and we were non-stop. Then I had our 60th party. And when I mean I was non-stop that day, like I got up at 5 a.m. so I could straighten my hair, do my own makeup, so that I could then do my mum's full face of makeup. For those of you that don't know, I am a makeup artist, so that is what I do. But yeah, it's just intense when you're doing it on a day that you're party planning as well. Like usually that wouldn't be the case. And then I had to like rush to the venue, meet my sister. Oh, I had to pick up the cake on the way. Driving to the venue, it was like I was driving like I had the most precious cargo in the car, because I was like, I don't want this cake to get ruined. It was the most epic, amazing cake that it was all porn star martini themed, which is my mum's favorite drink, the passion fruit on top with the porn star martini, and we had the feathers. In fact, you know what? I'm going to insert a picture. Shout out to Rosie Bakes, because that cake was epic. So the party was amazing. Everything actually went smooth, but I was doing everything from start to finish, from morning to night, and I was completely spent by the end of that day. So amazing that it all went well. Just a lot when you're pregnant, but actually it was like one of those days where everything was planned so back to back and so militant that if one thing had gone wrong, the whole day would have kind of been out of sync time wise, and it all went to plan. So I was like, do you know what, you got to celebrate those small wins, haven't you? Interestingly, I've been thinking, week 21, I was thinking so much more about the home birth prep, and I finished about 75% of my hypnobirthing course. That's with the Positive Birth Company. Cannot recommend them more. Now that I've done so much of it, so basically I've done all the video section of it. Now that I've done so much of it, I would honestly say, just do it. I wish I did it first time round. So many of the things they're saying that can speed up labour, or things that can stall labour, or things that will help you, or things that can inhibit you, made so much sense, because when I look back at my story and I'm like, oh, I was doing really well at that moment. I was naturally doing some of the things they recommend to do, didn't know it was a thing to do. I was just listening to my body. And then quite often when I was inhibited, it was and my labour was stalling, or it was very stop-start, or I was having moments like that. I was doing a lot of the things that possibly can slow down your labour without knowing. So I just think it was a really good educating experience. Also, because I have had a previous labour and birth, I can compare. I can actually maybe say, yeah, actually that is true, and actually maybe that would work. So I'm really excited for this birth now, but it did make me think, right, I really need to start looking at birth pools, because I want to have a water birth and I want to have it at home. And to be honest with you, you can hire them, but it's only about, depending on which one you hire. For me, it's working out about 40 to 50 quid difference to just buy it outright. And I'm like, I don't think this is my last birth. Should I just buy one? And then funny enough, over the Easter half term, I went and saw my cousin, who I inadvertently, well, maybe not inadvertently, but I basically convinced her without even knowing that I'd had that influence to have a home birth, which she successfully did. She had a very fast home birth as well. And she bought a birth pool. So when I was visiting her in the Easter holidays, she was saying to me, oh, why don't you just take mine? You know, you might want a fresh one, you might want to buy your own one, but the offer's there. So while I was looking at all these, I was like, which one did you buy, by the way? And the one I had literally in my basket was the smaller size of the one that she's actually got. And then I was thinking, is there any point in buying one? Why not borrow it? It's clearly got good vibes. She had a fast labor, like, you know, I need all the good energy I can get. So I might even like keep it in the family and borrow my cousin's birth pool and just buy a fresh liner for it. So yeah, and I did a little Instagram Q&A, if you follow me at Love Shan, and it was cracking me up because everyone was like sending things they recommend, like that you should have. So I've got a bunch of stuff saved in my Amazon basket, like, should I buy a TENS machine? Never even thought about using that with my first pregnancy, first labor even, but I'm like, it might work for me. I don't know. Everyone's saying get a pooper scooper for the pool, like a pool, like a temperature thing. I mean, these are all things that I'm sure are just extras, but it's nice to have like fairy lights and make it feel really just however you want it to be. It's your one chance at this experience, because even though you might have other babies, like this is your one shot at this birth, this labor, this experience. So I just want to go all out, and if you have any recommendations or any amazing like positive birth vlogs or YouTube videos, please link them below, comment below, just tell me everything I need. But yes, I'm really getting into that like preparation mode, really just in that mindset now where I'm really like thinking of birth. So yeah, if you want to check out that hypnobirthing course, that's the Positive Birth Company. absolutely love them. I've recommended them to everyone so far, and I have the book as well. So what I'm going to do is once I finish the course fully, I'm then nearer the time going to like read over the book. I can always redo bits of the course. I actually do need to do a couple videos with Ken, and potentially I might have my best friend there at my birth. I think that could be really nice to have a little bit more female energy, and I can't think of anyone else that I would want there. So yeah, I'm considering all these things. I'm doing all this prep. Maybe it's part of that kind of like nesting, not nesting, but like that real kind of like, okay, I'm second trimester, I have the energy now, organization, like get everything prepared, feel ready to like settle into like this third trimester, which is just really round the corner now. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up because I am just rambling on now, and I'm gonna literally speak to you guys next week and update you on week 22. So thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourself, mamas. Mwah.